I think Dricus Du Plessis beats Israel Adesanya. I think Dricus Du Plessis beats Israel Adesanya. I do. Like I said, he finds a way to win. And one thing which impressed me the most is I knew that he had skill set and I knew he had tenacity and ability to just not quit on himself and fight for every position. But what I did underappreciate, which I've got to give him even more props to, even though I was giving him a lot of chance going into this, his game planning and his homework and his film study was just so impressive. He'd gone away, he'd analysed where Robert Whittaker was weak or where he'd been compromised. Because he has so few flaws, it almost highlighted it even more. And he picked up on that southpaw read, which we've seen before, by the way, in the Adesanya fight. When Adesanya had success in the third fight, the only time he dropped him, I believe, it was from that southpaw stance where that left hand went straight down the pipe and it dropped Whittaker. And we saw it against Cannonier. So Dricus Du Plessis has gone away. He's done his homework. He's come with that read. And even though we've seen him switch stance before, he came out straight away and I said, oh, he's giving him a southpaw look from the get. And I thought, wow, this is super interesting already. Because he's already making those adjustments. And I found that super interesting. And it gave him problems. And that was one of the craziest upsets for the fans' expectations that we've seen in a lot of time. But not on skill. What did you think?
I have to say, he proved me wrong on every account. I want to make a formal apology to South African fan base because I was absolutely... I said it was going to be a complete, I thought it was a mismatch. I really did. But I have to give him credit. It reminded me of... I said last week how the unorthodox style of Yair could cause Volk problems, and we'll get onto that obviously. But in reality, it was the case of that for Dricus. His style, he fights in such a weird way. It's almost like, it's just kind of a compliment to him, but he kind of looks like he's drunk, and he just sort of wades around as he doesn't look like he's a fighter when he fights. But then suddenly he's every attack he's hurting, he's hitting and he's hitting hard and he's landing flush, and it's like, this is working. And then you see it just take over. And gradually I saw it just shift and I didn't really want to believe it. And I didn't want to say it was happening. But he was just, after in that first round, it just gradually went towards Dricus' way. And then he got that takedown in the last minute or so of the first. And Whittaker was on his back.
Talk to me about that takedown.
I know.
That was a head and arm throw. That's women's MMA. He just done that to Bobby Knuckles. What am I witnessing?
I know, man.
What was I witnessing?
Elbows. Yeah.
I knew he was skilled. I knew he had skill set. I knew he had things in his arsenal and his locker. But to think that he's going to go out there and just get Bobby Knuckles in a headlock and toss him to the ground, I think everyone needs to have a serious conversation about this Israel Adesanya fight. And I mean that dead serious. I mean that deadly serious, because we can look at striking and you can say, okay, this about Du Plessis. Forget anything that you could possibly come back with. He just outstruck Bobby Knuckles. We've seen that, documented. He outstruck and managed to get to his wheelhouse with Darren Till. Say what you will, but he's a phenomenal striker and Muay Thai guy. Say what you want, but we've seen him go through Derek Brunson. And I said before this fight, what did I say to you? I said, if his name was Israel Adesanya and he'd beaten those names in the run-up, we'd be having a different conversation because of the style. And guess what? That's exactly what's happened. He's beat the Derek Brunsons. He's beat the Brad Tavareses. He's beat the Darren Tills. He's built the Robert Whittakers. Now we need to start looking at him like an Israel Adesanya, because he's got the kickboxing record to go with it. But you know what he doesn't have? What he does have, he's got that grappling ability. And he's even said before, they've grappled and he's manhandled him. And yes, that was many moons ago when Israel was barely grappling. It was 2015 where actually he would have been grappling the most, because that's when he transitioned into MMA. So he would have been trying to bridge that skill gap. So he would have been at least in those grappling rooms a lot. And he manhandled him. And you probably are lying to yourself if you don't believe that he would manhandle him in a grappling situation now. Because the strength and the transitions and the body locks and the figure of fours and the aggression. Yeah. We need to start having this conversation. Am I getting ahead of myself?
With you there.
I don't know.
No, I mean, I agree with you that it's a...
He just headed on for Bobby Knuckles. Yeah. Like, well, I'm on red alert. I'm on red alert. And everyone needs to be. I just don't think we even understand what we witnessed yesterday. It was actually ridiculous. We actually saw someone not only out grapple and just out dominate and big brother Bobby Knuckles, but outstrike him. Outstrike him. Not that
doesn't
is
happen.
not how that was meant to go. And we may have seen Israel Adesanya dominate him with the striking at times, but we've never seen him dominating both grappling and striking that aggressively. Wow.
I mean, I think in the case of that matchup versus Adesanya, I mean, I think, I think it's a case of, you know, if he's on the ground, if he gets him there, that's where it's his realm. But it's a matter of actually getting him to the ground in the first place, because we know Adesanya's takedown defense is it's not exactly it's good, but the reason people struggle to get him down is because of his positioning, his footwork, and his defensive striking. He's able to keep everyone off him in a way because people are so afraid of the counter, and I think that's such an advantage for him. So I'm still, if that matchup does happen, which it looks like it's going to, I'm still obviously firmly going to pick Adesanya.
Oh, I'm going to drop a hot take.
If I get proven wrong,
I'm going to drop a hot take, and I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it now because it's not even acting on the moment. It's just sort of, I'm just on the spot putting pieces of the pie together in my own head.
And all right, this is on record though. I'm just saying.
Easy, and I'll come out and say it with confidence. I genuinely will come out and say it with confidence. I wholeheartedly do believe what I'm about to say. I do believe Israel Adesanya is probably the greatest middleweight of all time. Yeah, of course, there's conversations with Anderson Silva. We can have that conversation.
Not Anderson Silva.
It's irrelevant. He's either one or two.
Yeah,
he's the best, essentially. He's that level. That's what we're talking about. I think Dricus Du Plessis beats Israel Adesanya. I think Dricus Du Plessis beats Israel Adesanya. I do. That's what I believe. Because before that fight, I would have told you it's possible for Dricus, probably against anyone, he does a great job of, by hook or by crook, crashing into range. And whether he does that with good defensive structure and good footwork and good height guard, no. But does he get there? Yes. But then what I saw from him yesterday was actually, oh no, hold up. There's a bit of method to this madness. And he's actually got weirdly good footwork. And he's actually getting to his positions quite well. And he's actually putting things behind his advancements to help him get to his positions. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, of course, Izzy on the counter is just so impressive. You're naturally going to go to the narrative. He's going to find a counter off of it. And that's a very reasonable argument to have. But in 25 minutes, can I see a world where Dricus can eat by the way, very well documented chin. Can I see a world he can eat a shot and get into range? Yeah, I can see that. Can I see a world that he just manages to crash into range and manages to land just a one-off jab? He's not like he's immune to getting punched. He can still get jabbed, you know? Yeah, I can see that happening. And then can I see a world where he just gets double unders and a body lock? Yeah, of course I can. And then when he's there, he is a freakish athletic specimen. Like, there's no two ways about this. The size of him, the only thing the commentators kept mentioning when they bumped into him on Fight Week was the size of him. The absolute physical, like, imposing nature of Dricus Du Plessis. And Izzy's big, 6'4", he's dense, he's got big limbs, but Dricus is built like a brick shithouse, and you can see that strength. And usually the thing with that is you go, okay, but you've got that, but you have to give up something. You can't have it all, mate. Okay, so you got to give up a bit of conditioning. But oh no, unlock new level, new mythical fighter, two-nostril Dricus Du Plessis. And he comes out and he's not even mouth breathing in a second round with Bobby Knuckles. And he's starting to piece him together on the feet. He's throwing him to the floor with a head and arm like it's women's MMA. And then he's just landing body shots and finishing combinations with Bobby Knuckles against the cage and just finishing him. Who said that was going to happen? We need to look at him with every dead serious intention that he's going to be champion, because that is a more... If we look at it pound for pound, if we just go performance, that, to me, that's a more impressive performance than Israel's first fight against Bobby Knuckles.
You think? Yeah. I think, well, yeah, if you look at the stakes, I think so.
I can't look at it any other way.
I think what really impressed me, everyone talks about the cardio of Dricus, but for me it was the
Freakish.
not just, I know you said he's defensively responsive, he was so defensively responsible when you're talking about the footwork, but what really impressed me was his high guard, his ability, just he was ready for those shots. Nothing
Yep.
really landed flush on him at all. You know, he looked very calm in there. It's like he'd done it a million times before. And he hasn't fought a guy like Robert Whittaker, and I think a lot of guys can melt under that pressure. If you look at his resume, it speaks for itself. But he looked completely ready, and as you say, he studied the tape. He was there to fight, and he proved that he was better. He was. I honestly, it was that moment where,
He said it.
not after he dropped him, when he dropped him with a jab, it was just afterwards where he caught him clean with it. I think it was the right hand, and Rob started running away, trying to circle. As soon as I saw that is the body language. You know they're absolutely done. And it reminds me of Chandler versus Oliveira. Same premise.
That
It's like they don't know
circle
where
sort
they
of run.
are. Exactly. There's nothing you can do. They're going to get clipped, put against the cage, and then finished. And as soon as that happened, I was like, yep, he's going. And I didn't want to believe it. And then he crumpled down. And I was sort of hoping that the ref was just going to let it run. But it just, what can you do? It happened. It's almost like we're in the wrong timeline. That's what it feels like.
He wins. There's nothing else to it. It's what I said before the fight.
It's unbelievable.
And this is why I was actually shocked by what I saw. I would be lying if I said I'm sitting here not shocked, because I was shocked. I wasn't shocked at the result at all. And that's why before the fight I probably picked Bobby Knuckles, because I thought, yeah, it probably. But I was, for him to win, because he's a documented winner. This was my point. Kickboxing, documented winner. MMA, documented winner. He was 19-2 going into the fight. MMA professional, documented winner.
Wild.
And that's high level MMA as well. That was not scrubs. I'm pretty sure he was in KSW, which is high level. Kickboxing, high level. So he's documented to win, and he finds a way. And now we're starting to realise his skill set pretty bloody good. And the sky's the limit. And he's talking about, I want to be the guy now that doesn't get beaten in X amount of time and all of this. And you start looking at it on paper, you start going, yeah, he's got a really good chin, actually. His conditioning's kind of crazy. He could probably push an insane pace for 5 rounds. Oh, he actually hits very, very hard. And even a jab is almost like a backhand, because he switches stances so much and he's so powerful. His left hand's as strong as his right, and his right's as strong as his left. So his jabs are feeling like straights, and his rights are feeling like straights, and everything is feeling very bloody heavy. And all of a sudden he's got his grips on you, he's thrown you to the floor. He's very sticky, he's got 2 hooks in and a body lock, and you're thinking, yeah, this was a bit harder than I thought this was going to be, actually. And Dricus Du Plessis is a bit of a nightmare. So I think we all have to sit here and just respect the skill of this man. But
I think we do.